Hello, greetings to all you gamblers out there in the decentralized world. This is Proof of Pod, episode number 2, Poker and Cryptocurrency. My name is David Medley. I'm joined, as always, by Clay Rabenda. How are you today, Clay?
Pretty good. Busy
You're
as usual.
a veteran now. This is episode number 2.
Yeah. And we're professionals at this point, basically.
We
should
All
probably
right, so
publish
today
the
we're
first
going
episode, at some point, but that'll come.
Today we're going to talk about poker and maybe a little bit about gambling, but especially as it all applies to cryptocurrency and NFTs and all that kind of stuff. Do you have any experience or opinions about gambling, poker, any of that, Clay?
Well, I did used to play quite a bit, mostly limit games online.
Okay.
Nothing too serious.
Yeah.
But I'm more interested in sort of crypto as a means of doing stuff like deterministic encrypt or entropy
Yes.
and generating entropy and things like this, and maybe some of the provably fair stuff and the ZK stuff. But no like real poker experience. What about yourself?
Yeah, I've been a pretty serious poker player since about 2004. So I've been around it a lot, and this the topic for this show was chosen by me. And I knew somebody who I really wanted to bring on as a guest, especially in light of our discussion in episode 1 about payment methods, using crypto and stuff like that. Real quick, I'm going to do a ultra brief history of poker. So the origins of the poker are lost to history. We know it was adapted from some other games in early 1800s. Around 1970, poker gets a boost as a spectator sport when Benny Binion creates the World Series of Poker. In 2003, several factors contribute to create the poker boom, also called like the moneymaker boom, including hole card cams, really big innovation there. 2008 and 2011, the United States government takes action against online poker. I could talk about that for a very long time. In 2020, COVID creates kind of an online home game revival where you kind of like play online with people you already know. And we talked a little bit about that in episode 1, where we had the largest WSOP main event ever, and so on. So the guest I wanted to bring on is Sam of Decentra Degens. Are you there, Sam?
Yep.
Hello. So about a year and a half ago, I heard of this project called Decentra Degens, and the idea is you buy an NFT for 0.1 ETH, and if you have the NFT, you're then allowed to enter a free roll, which means a tournament where you don't pay an entry fee, and the weekly prize pool was 0.2 ETH, with 3 places paid. And I thought that sounded really cool. So I bought the NFT, and I've been, playing with them ever since. Sam, is there anything you want to, obviously you're going to have a lot to say about your project, but is there anything you want to correct or add to what I've said so far?
Pretty much covered it in terms of our launch plan. We started and we just held our 90th weekly tournament with that 0.2 prize pool. So we've been slowly and surely chugging along and holding true to what we started with.
So, how did you get in this? How did you come up with this idea?
So I started playing poker when I was 8 years old. My dad taught me how the game worked. He made me play him heads up for my allowance money. So I learned the game from a very young age. I was in college when COVID hit.
So if he won, you wouldn't get allowance?
Exactly. Yep. Some fun childhood. I didn't get paid for months. But come around, I'm playing all the time at college. I've got multiple different friend groups, different home games. And when COVID hit, we all still missed playing with each other. So we transitioned online. And, we had our friendly home games. We'd go back and forth online. And then we all discovered the fact that there are thousands and thousands of underground online games going around 24/7 with all these different groups. And we noticed how much money was flying around these tables and that these people were illegally raking these underground tables and they
Yeah.
were making a lot of money doing so. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is a ton of fun. I get to hang out and play with my friends all the time. And it seems really profitable. How can I do this legally?
Mhm.
So go into look at the legal process. I'm like, all right, well, I play on America's Card Room and I know they're legal. How do they do it? Okay, they open a company here. All right, we're going to do some research on what countries we can incorporate in, where we can do things legally,
Yeah.
and how we can check all our boxes. So we settled on incorporating in Costa Rica, and now we have a legally registered company there. We just passed our 1 year incorporation date, so we've been a legally incorporated company for over a year now. And now that that is set, we, from a hosting side, we do everything legally there. And the certain states, you look at like Nevada, New Jersey, and some countries like Australia, we geo block their locations from playing with us. So from a player side, they're also able to play with us completely legally. So it started off as, wow, I really enjoy playing poker with my friends, to, oh, I can turn this into a full-time career. I just have to follow a few steps to remain legally compliant.
Nice.
How does crypto play into that whole? I mean, I'm kind of thinking of like banking versus neo banking. Is this like neo card room?
So, well, we start and operate as a just standard Web 2 poker business. Where we really start integrating the Web 3 technologies, where we're going to be bringing it. So, right now, we offer the free rolls and we offer cash tables. But where I see a lot of the future of Web 3 going in the technology are going to be these integrated gaming communities, these different communities with tokens, DAOs, you name it. Every single one of these communities, they're looking for activities for their people. They're looking for a way to monetize their token. They're looking for ways to do things. And with what we're doing, let's use the hypothetical that you are GTA 6 and you're creating this fully interoperable metaverse with your own GTA token. And now, instead of just having an in game token, being familiar with Web3, you know that
This
that
is like
token.
Grand Theft Auto you're talking about?
Yeah, just imagine any of these types of games that has that giant metaverse kind of scenario. And right now in GTA 5, you'd walk into that metaverse and you're just playing with fake in-game money on a fake poker table against computers.
Mhm.
Well, when the technology improves and they're playing with actual tokens, we would be able to integrate legal poker games within their game, within their metaverse, and players could compete in real time. And we're raking that in game token. So
Mhm.
it comes as a profit share back to the company. We're
Mhm.
generating rake on that in game token, and players have another activity, and the ecosystem remains sustainable. So while we do see ourselves currently competing with like a Web 2 poker room right now, where we really set the bar apart with the technology is imagining any single game or any rewards point system that's being tokenized, being able to use and play that currency with us.
I heard
So,
that GTA 6 actually is going to have a cryptocurrency based like storyline or something. Have you
That
guys
would
heard
oh,
be,
really?
this? I just saw
I
a
think they're
tweet. I
releasing
don't
a
know. Don't
trailer
quote
soon.
me. Yeah.
So obviously, like there's poker, and you can use cryptocurrency to as the currency for gambling. I played on Seals with Clubs like back in 2014, and also something called Bitcoin, which I believe both those things are still going. And there's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about there. One thing that was interesting about the way that you did it, though, is you took a NFT route. What made you think you wanted to start with a NFT rather than like just moving USDC around or something as a way to fund cash games or tournaments?
Yeah, so while a lot of these poker rooms, they're great for people to play together and just, random strangers online, you want to play poker, you're going to hop on a table and play. The big core part of these underground games or these friendly home games is that peer-to-peer connection, the way you're playing with a friend, the way you're enjoying a community. NFTs were beginning that craze. I got into them in early 2021. I discovered Zedrun, and I'm like, wow, people have these online tokens, and they can compete against each other and bet on these things. And I thought it was a really cool concept. So I dove deeper, and it's like, okay, I can foster, build, and grow a community and provide value to these people who are supporting me and helping build my company. And with that, when we had, 100 unique people in, it's like, oh, great. Now, when I do want to launch these poker games, I have 100 people who've been watching us in this building process who want to play with us. Like, there are plenty of poker games who might be better tables than us. They probably have more money flying around. They're bigger. They have a more active community. But people aren't just playing at our tables because they see an online poker game. They see my face. They see me in the community talking with everyone every day. They see the fact that, oh, this is a recent college grad who has dropped everything and now he built his own poker company. And I can talk with him any time of day because he's just building that in public. And I think where NFTs really lay that place is the fact that everything's open and transparent. Anybody could just go look at my wallet right now and see my assets. Anybody
Yeah.
can see any transaction I've made over the last few years. And I think not only in terms of poker, but in terms of business in general, having this open layer of transparency across every single action taken is going to change the way business is done. And I think we're starting that with what we're doing.
Have you thought about like sort of viewing these NFTs or tokens or whatever you've got on your platform as a sort of an equity or a sort of ownership stake in a way, or thought about like governance in any sort of way?
All of that crosses towards a lot of legal bounds that we're not really willing to press towards. So if there were equity in the company, it would look like we're selling, almost an
Sure.
IPO, but legally, especially to US players, because a lot of our holders are US based. So honestly, our NFT is not even an investment. I tell everyone explicitly, if you buy our NFT, you will probably sell it at a loss because we're not aiming to make the NFTs valuable. If you want to play poker with us, it is a lifetime pass to play poker with us every single week. And we're going to be adding additional bonuses, utility, and all these different things. Like at our cash tables, you get rake back while you play if you have an NFT. We attach these different utilities and values, but what I really try to drive home to everyone is you will not make money by buying this NFT. It's not an IPO. You're not getting equity in the company. You're supporting what we're doing, and you're joining a great community. But you're getting exactly what we outlined. You get to play in free poker, and we have things in the pipeline that we're building. But in terms of equity and kind of a shareholdership, like the only thing I really let the holders vote on is what time the tournaments get hosted. Because
Yeah.
if we really give people that kind of not only control, but like a legal control of direction of the company, that's where we get into some gray area. And our entire platform is built on making sure we do everything not only out in the open, but legally compliant.
Who are the maniacs who have been making the tournament run early on Saturday mornings lately?
I don't know, but I have to set an alarm extra early in the morning so I can set up the tournament. So
Killing it.
I'm personally not a fan. I liked the Sundays at 4 p.m., but Saturday at 10 a.m. was a bit of a it's not my favorite, but I
Sorry,
let the
guys,
people choose.
democracy. Yeah, you guys got outvoted.
Exactly.
So you said a lifetime pass to play poker. So my, not knowing you at all, and this is a show I think that we could do sometime. Play is like, is crypto specifically scammy? More scammy than other stuff. I'm not sure, but I think it'd be a cool show to do. So anyway, like you try and vet these things, and my immediate thought was like, well, everybody's buying in for 0.1 ETH, and you're giving away 0.2 ETH per week. What happens when the ETH runs out? Or, like, I hate to bring this up, the definition of a Ponzi scheme is something like, the new people are paying, the fees, the deposits from the new people are paying out the profits to the old people, so I don't mean to cast aspersions, but like it does kind of fit that definition. So what's your plan with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we pledged to have that minimum at 0.2 ETH weekly. Obviously, if we run into financial troubles, I'd love to share them with everyone. As of lately, with the market being extremely dead, I personally have been buying a lot of the NFTs and putting money back into the ecosystem out of my own wallet because I mean, I can go out all day and start DMing people on Twitter and start trying to shill in Discord and start trying to grow it like that. But realistically, we have our budget plan laid out every single week, and all of our mint funding is allocated towards where it's going, and I share where it's going. So we need, on average, 2 mints a week to sustain what we're doing.
Yeah,
And
it's not a lot.
in reality, it's not that much money. I set out to make sure something's sustainable, and the best part about that is it's not like we have to pay $1,000 a week in server fees and then $1,000 towards employees and a lot of expenses. My goal was to build something that was self-sustaining, and the real key to all of that was getting our poker tables up and running. So now that we have cash poker tables running, they're cash flowing for us. We have revenue coming in, and we can allocate that towards things. So if, God forbid, my financial situation is not the best, we have legal poker games running and generating a profit for us. Being a startup company, we did over 50 grand in revenue in our first year just from these online poker tables. So with no money in marketing, no real network or connections, just a company that I bootstrapped off of my phone. So
I lost audio there for just a sec. Just
okay.
FYI.
We lost your video too.
Yeah, I turned it off in case it was sucking up too much bandwidth or whatever.
I was wondering how much ETH you'd have to stake to maintain a 0.2 ETH per week. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. It's probably a lot, actually. I was looking, and apparently there's $56 billion worth of ETH staked right now, and it doesn't generate nearly that much. So the returns are probably not great. But anyway, kind of just a weird random thought, not really relevant.
No, it's very relevant. I mean, I was thinking along the same lines. When I think when I joined up with Decentra Degens, this was before like the Luna crash and everything, and it was like, oh, like you can make 20% per year APR, no problem in crypto. I mean, I didn't really believe these things, but
you wonder why everything crashed.
Yeah.
Me and my chief strategic officer were in a cafe in Beijing a couple of years ago, and a guy came in and told us they had a product that was doing 1% per day. And we asked him, and this guy Philip, who's my partner, he was formerly a CPA and he managed like $150 million fund at Silicon Valley Bank in the 90s. So he knows a bit about money and accounting and such. And so we asked him, like, why is the return so high? Like 1% per day. That's really high return. And they
1% per day.
Per day, yeah, right. Compounded out, it's like ridiculous. It's like 30,000% per year or something. But we asked them why it's so high, and they're like, "Oh, well, because it's such a short amount of time."
Sure,
and we
makes sense.
Does it make sense? Yeah. Anyway, I hope a lot of that stuff has kind of washed out since 2021, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, people got to learn there's no such thing as a free lunch, right?
Right.
Do you want to ask another question, Clay? I don't know.
Yeah, well,
we're not used to this hosting thing quite yet, so maybe I go one and then you go one is kind of like the way we should do it. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Well, I guess I'd be curious to know like what has been the experience for Sam, with using the blockchains, and what kind of things, do you wish maybe you could do, or if there is anything that you can't do, right? Because they are sort of limited in a lot of ways.
So in terms of what we're building, the thing that's caused me the most undue stress, the thing that's been kind of the hardest and that I wish I was capable of doing, is the coding side of things. We've been kind of sitting in this waiting period. Our developer still works his full-time job. We can't afford to pay him full-time. Beyond blessed that he joined us very early, and I gave him some equity in the company to help us build. He built our payment portal from scratch. We have a bot running in the background, and it scrapes the USDC on Polygon chain 24/7. And any transaction that goes to and from the Decentra Degens wallet, it automatically updates balances anytime there is someone depositing or withdrawing. So that is something that would have cost us thousands of dollars by a professional software developer. and he banged it out in a day, and he implemented it, and it's insane what can be built. I wish I had a coding background because I think we'd already have the poker platform up and running with all my free time, but unfortunately, that's not my strength. Honestly, the hardest part of the entire journey has been kind of that network platform building. We've got a really great idea that's profitable that we can basically implement into any community at any time. And it's sort of building that initial trust and network and being able to reach out to people. Like, as David said, it's prevalent in scams. Everything that sounds too good to be true is likely a scam. And unfortunately, the hardest part with this new technology is that a lot of people don't understand it, which is where scams are most prevalent. So when email first came out, pretty much every scam was on email because no one
Yeah,
understood how it worked or how to navigate it. Well, right
that's
now
true.
that new technology is crypto, it's AI, and people hear that and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to check this out." And scamming comes from ignorance on the consumer point of view. They don't understand. They haven't been taught. And unfortunately, a lot of people learn very hard lessons very early in their crypto journey, and that's enough to turn people off.
Yeah.
So I think kind of as these guardrails get simple, like our goal, our end goal is to have it so anybody can deposit any currency or even use a credit card or a debit card, click a button, immediately have chips in their account, and then they're able to play poker while it's being powered all by all this blockchain and token technology in the back end. So while it's very cool and interesting to talk about the technology, unfortunately, the vast consumer base and the vast majority of people who will use it will probably not even care to understand all the mechanics in the background. They just want to know, how can I just play this? How can I do this? So I think it's on what we're doing and anybody else trying to build in the space to make it simple and build something that people can trust.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like there's a ton of ways we could go off of what you were just saying. And just like it kind of like gets me going on like the idea of like, value and like, how thing, the subjective theory of value and stuff like this. But to keep it more on track, you were talking about how you want to accept any kind of deposits so that people can start playing right away. So when you launched your cash games, you did it in USDC on Polygon, aka Matic.
Correct.
Is that correct? And if so, like, why did you choose that token and that network?
So to start out, we wanted something that everybody was familiar with. The US dollar is a standard measured currency. We could use Circle, we could use Tether, either or. We ended up going with USDC. That was just what happened to be the easiest, especially because there was a Coinbase on ramp for most people. I'm pretty sure Tether is restricted on Coinbase, which is why we chose USDC over USDT. That being said, on the Matic network, fees are extremely low. And with our main NFTs being on ETH, you could have the same wallet with the same wallet address on MetaMask, and we could link your NFTs to your account that you create with us on the Matic network. Um, we want to implement all these other currencies and all these other things, but because right now we have as you know, we have a pretty lengthy process for the sign up and it's not the smoothest. And that's because we have to use a third party poker app at the time being, and we're building all these other things. But when we have our own platform, eventually you'll be able to connect. And our goal is to have a back end that'll auto swap all these common currencies. Let's say you do Bitcoin or Solana or Ethereum, and when you deposit, it'll auto convert everything into USDC on our end, especially because if we're hosting our cash games as a US dollar equivalent, the last thing we need is to accept $1,000 in deposits in Bitcoin and only have $800 in our in our books by the time they want to cash out if Bitcoin decides to plummet. So we chose USDC mainly for the stability to hold player deposits as well.
Have you found that the Polygon community is just like, open to participating there, or has it been a bit of a roadblock in a way, like getting people to bridge to Polygon? Or do you have to kind of coach people through that, or are people pretty much figuring it out on their own and able to get assets over there?
So actually, I want to say over 75% of the people who play at our cash tables have no crypto background at all.
Really?
I have a very organized step by step that people can walk through and follow through. I have screenshots of what the MetaMask app looks like. I circle different icons for people to click on. So I believe people truly just want to use it for their own purposes. I love the technology. I could dive into Etherscan and try and explain the way that the blockchain works to people. But my end goal and a lot of these players' end goals are for them to just play poker.
Yeah.
And the easiest way to do that is to have the simplest process possible. And unfortunately, because there are a decent amount of steps for us right now, I don't go through the steps of explaining to someone exactly how a seed phrase works. What I tell them is it's their social security for crypto and that you never share it with anybody ever. You write it down, you save it somewhere, and you never share it ever. You should use Face ID on your phone, whatever you choose. But that 16-word phrase, you hide that and you just keep that in case you get a new phone. That's typically all I tell people when it comes to the crypto aspect. I'm like, okay, you can go on Coinbase, you can buy the USDC here, you send it to this wallet, and you deposit from that wallet. Okay, well, what now? Like, we in that tutorial, I don't even tell people that what they're doing is they need to change this network so they can play on our platform because we don't accept the main network. What I have is when you download MetaMask, you can click this icon at the top, and then you're going to click on Polygon. So, unfortunately, when trying to explain the why to something is where you lose a lot of people. A
Right.
lot of people, they just want to grasp the how they can get something done the easiest way possible. So our goal with the step by step was just showing people how you do this. And if anybody's interested, I'll hop on calls with all of our members and say, okay, we use this because the gas fees are lower. Oh, what's a gas fee? And then we go on
Yeah.
that kind of off ramp. But yeah,
Were
that
you
is.
were you following the Polygon project very closely? Once you sort of chosen it, do you still follow things closely? I'm actually really curious what happened with Avail. Um, they departed from Polygon, and that was really interesting to me as as the founder of Lithium, because we're all about scalability. And as far as I remember, or as far as I knew, Avail was their scalability kind of back end, and they spun off maybe, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 months ago, and I wasn't sure. I'd be curious to know how the community perceived that, or if there were any rumors around what was going on there. But that's
Yeah,
sort of more in my
personally,
wheelhouse.
yeah, that's honestly, that's not really my strong suit. I don't really follow in depthly where the communities are going. I and for better or for worse, I kind of just like I know Solana's doing a bunch of great things, but then you can get into all these other arguments. It's cheaper. Oh, well, it's central. ETH's also not centralized. So there's a million different directions and finalities, but kind of when it boils down to a lot of it, it's okay, I can build what I'm doing on this network. And I chose ETH because it has the largest market. There are the most people doing NFT stuff. It is when someone hears ETH, they know that that is the main building block. Could that change in the future? Absolutely. I mean, personally, I don't believe so. That's why I chose it. But, I'm not, I can't predict these things. But at the time, ETH was end of 2021. ETH was all the way up there. It was everything. Nobody was building on anything else. When we rolled the cash games out, I didn't really see a viable alternative other than Polygon. It made the most sense to me. It had been something I had used as someone in the space, and it seemed like the most scalable option.
Is there anything else, if you had to start over now? I mean, you might not be looking into it since you kind of pulled the trigger already with Polygon, but is there any that you'd look at again if
I've
you
heard a lot of things about Optimism and their entire network. I've seen a lot on that. I see a lot of people building on Avalanche. There's a lot of great technology out there, and there's so many. There's use cases for each one, and I know that each is specializing in what they're doing. I wish I was more fluent in all the tech and where everybody is going. I have the vision and image in my mind of what I'm building, and I worked backwards as to what I could use to fit that vision. So I didn't really go through all of it too much. But I mean, if I could go back in time, I'd probably take the same route.
So sorry, one more for me,
Go ahead.
David. Does Avalanche have EVM? I believe it does, right? Does that mean
I cannot answer
EVM is
that.
Ethereum
Okay.
virtual machine.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. Well, all right. So, but you can bridge your Ethereum over there somehow, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have like, for you as someone who maybe doesn't get into like the weeds as much with the back ends of these things as much as I do you have a concept of like what constitutes like a bridge versus a layer two, or like what does Polygon say it? What do they call it? It's I don't think they use either one of those terms, right? It's like
We use
a
bridge
side
or
chain. A
use
side chain.
bridges for Decentra Degens, right?
I believe we just use the mainnet ETH and the layer 2 Polygon. We don't have
A
any
layer.
bridges to any of the networks at the time.
Yeah, sorry, I meant to say layer two. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, but Avalanche would not be considered a layer two, right?
Correct. Yeah, that would be a different chain.
Yeah. Okay. That's very interesting to me. So I guess the difference is just that they're not. Well, actually, I don't know what Polygon does exactly that they would call themselves a layer two. But all right, we're getting into the weeds here. Maybe we can steer it back towards more the application and the user experience kind of layer of things.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's almost like three silos that, like, I feel like for the space to really proceed, we need to like get these three things intertwined. One is kind of like the philosophy, right? Which is where I got into Bitcoin in the first place. And then there's like the tech, and I'd say that's more like the ETH people are kind of in the tech silo a lot. And then there's just like the usability, or the
User
practicals.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah. And don't always it's hard for one person to kind of like have these three things in equal amounts. So Sam, you were saying
We
you wish
almost
you knew
have all
more about
three
the
here.
code. Well, as somebody who started as a coder, it's not that great.
Oh, yeah.
That's an interesting question. There's not many gray beards in the crypto space, and that might be, I don't know. There could be different reasons for that. I worry that that's because we're not sort of taking ourselves seriously as far as the way we design some of these things, right? And that a lot of these sort of old school Unix, open source, crypto anarchy sort of types look at us and just think like, oh, this is just a giant Ponzi scheme or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's worrying. It may also just be that, innovative stuff is maybe a young people's game, but it's something that I sort of ponder.
Yeah.
So if you look into specifics, you don't really find much, right? Like if you look at like, why does Richard Stallman hate blockchain? It's not super compelling. So
who's that?
Richard Stallman is the guy who created GNU licensing. He was a huge, he kind of almost seeded the entire open source software movement, or he certainly would claim to have. And he's big in the whole, he says that we should be calling Linux GNU Linux, because Linux is really like the Linux kernel, which Linus obviously created. But then there's all the other tooling that comes along with like making an actual system out of it, right? You need all your applications and your drivers and all these things. So that's, a big community effort, and Linux kind of gets the brand because it's the kernel. I mean, the kernel is definitely a critical part of it, but yeah. But he's I think he was a teacher at I should say professor at MIT. Very strange fellow, but a genius in his way, an idiosyncratic thinker, as we say.
Yeah. So, Sam, what do you think are the most like the pain points for your users, the people who don't know anything about crypto?
Right now, the pain point is the sign up process. We're using a third party app to and we can't send someone a link to our website to play directly there. And that's kind of the big hang up we're waiting before we really try to push partnerships, before we push marketing. Because right now it'll take for someone who has nothing in crypto, it'll take them about 15 minutes to log in, create an account with us, and sign up. Now, for someone who doesn't even have a Coinbase account, that sounds like a success. In reality, the user is not going to spend 15 minutes to play poker when they can play in an illegal underground game in 2 minutes, or they can sign up for America's Card Room in 5 minutes, even though it takes a week to withdraw, even though there's all these other things. It doesn't matter if it takes a week or a month to withdraw because there's nothing to withdraw if they don't sign up and play on the platform. The number one pain point for us is our sign up process. It takes too long. The technology hasn't even really been the barrier. It's the fact that we don't have everything on one page. When we have our platform up and running, I'll be able to copy paste the Decentra Degens link. Someone will be able to click on it. And in that same click, they'll be able to create an account. If they don't have an account, it directs them to a wallet. They can download MetaMask right there, click, connect, and then it's as easy as funding the wallet. And ideally, we will have something where people could enter their debit card, credit card, and it'll instant convert to cryptocurrency. So when it gets to that point, I will send a link to someone who is completely not crypto native, and they will be able to deposit and play with us in under a minute with absolutely no crypto knowledge, while everything on the deposit withdrawal side is powered by crypto.
So just to put some of these pieces together, the poker is being played on the Poker 2. It's got like 4 Rs or something, right? And then you're using something else to handle the USDC deposits. Well, obviously.
Correct. Yeah, we built a payment portal where people connect their wallet and they can deposit USDC, request a withdrawal, and it's all automatically tracked. And what's cool about our portal is if someone clicks on it and they log in with their wallet that they have the NFTs in, there's actually a full tab. It shows you the NFTs you own. It shows the rake back associated with it. And when we do have our own platform and all these systems are interconnected, you'll be able to see the rake back you earn in real time. You'll be able to sponsor another player with your NFT. And there'll be all these new cool intricacies and ways for things to interoperate that comes when we have our own system to do it all on.
So then the NFT itself is on the ETH platform. And let's see, when someone deposits USDC, it's not credited in the Poker 2 app. So they have to in the Poker 2 app, they hit something like buy into this game for $100. And then you have to say, who is this person? Do they actually have $100 in USDC deposited? And if so, then you admit them. Is that right?
Yep. And that is a lot of steps. That is our pain point. All those steps, they need to do that deposit. And then I need to check if it's in their balance. And then I need to accept it to the table. When in reality, they'll be able to click on the link. They'll be able to instantly deposit with any method of payment. And then they'll be able to click on a table and immediately play. That is a lot quicker, a lot smoother, and will reduce the pain points of onboarding anybody.
Are you doing an on-chain transaction every time someone joins a table then, or?
No, that is all handled off-chain.
Okay.
I'm occasionally going silent and maybe shaking my head and stuff because my internet is unstable. So sorry about that.
We seem to have gotten this far without too many problems so far.
Good.
You're just disappearing your video occasionally, but usually when one of us is talking. So
I literally turn off my camera when the audio stops working, both to maybe conserve a little bandwidth and to signal to you guys, hey, not all is well.
Well, on that note, I mean, it sounds pretty awesome, Sam. I'm looking forward to see like what kind of sort of reward schemes you can come up with here. I think there's a lot that is happening, you know, as far as like users' expectations in this domain, right? Whenever something sort of crypto, you know, crypto adjacent or crypto focused or crypto powered, you know, it seems to be sort of also allowing, you know, people and products to kind of take a new look at some of these things and be creative there. So it's pretty exciting stuff.
Thank you. I'm excited for the future as well. Uh, the the real cool part of the way it's going to be and the way business is going to work in the future is there won't just be a, oh, I'll promote you, you promote me. That is what it is. Where our goal is in-depth partnerships. Like you can use something like Starbucks. You have a rewards program. Well, now Starbucks users can log into the app and play poker against each other with Starbucks rewards points. And now that you earn enough points by playing poker in your Starbucks app with your Starbucks point, you can get that drink. So we'll be able to integrate and work with any and every community. Or like I live near a college campus. Let's say we want to partner with one of the local frats and we offer legal poker games, and a percentage of those funds goes towards scholarships for people who are going to the fraternity. The opportunities for partnership and collaboration are endless, and this technology adds this open layer where everybody can see where every penny is moving. I can say, hey, you guys are going to get X% of the funds generated from this charity event, and then everybody sees, whether they're involved or not, us sending that payment going where it should be and where it's being sent. So what we're doing is just we're using poker as our method of collaboration, but on a much wider and broader scale. The forced transparency of business is really where the future of all this is going. There won't be any room for people to hide what they're doing. Imagine a charity where you donate in crypto and every penny is allocated to a cause that they're guaranteeing it's supporting, because the money has to go there because it's public. Every penny is transparent, and
Yeah.
there's going to be no room for fraud. There's going to be no room for misuse. Every last penny in every business will be accounted for. And I really see a radical shift in the way business is going to be done. And
Actually have a
hopefully we're able to start that with poker.
Yeah. I actually have a friend doing exactly that. His product is called Elia Tech. It's ELEATEK, and he has sort of an army of what he calls voluntecs that do both off-chain on and on-chain sort of I don't know if you call it due diligence or accounting, so that when you know give your money to a charity, you can basically chase it from your wallet all the way to whoever it's supposed to go to. It's pretty interesting stuff. I think, well, from my perspective, we need more of that, right? And so one of the limitations I see with blockchain in that domain is that, it'd be really cool to be able to put more of your accounting online, right? I think a lot of products out there or applications sort of have like maybe a single address that kind of represents, their entire sort of funds, or maybe Coinbase has like 20 of them, 20 wallets or whatever, but you don't necessarily get the granularity of things.
I have thousands, but yeah.
Yeah it'd be nice to have thousands. It's nice to have like different divisions or different sort of streams of cash, within an organization, all sort of separated out, so we can say like, all right, well, this is this branch of Coinbase, and this is this other branch of Coinbase, and you can kind of drill into the books a little bit more granularly. But I don't think people are necessarily able to do that right now, just because of the scalability thing, right? So I think there's a lot more opportunity actually there that we're sort of not even tapping into yet, until people sort of crack this whole scalability thing. But that's just my personal obsession when it comes to this blockchain stuff.
Yeah.
Sam,
what would you tell people to look out for? Like, are there any tells that you might see for like scammy things that you would say, oh, I wouldn't get involved with that if I were you?
People who get defensive as soon as a question is asked. I've having been in the NFT space, I've had my fair share of people promise a lot of things. But if you ask questions and you kind of get written off, or don't get a direct answer, that's when if you have nothing to hide, then you can answer everything. And I've made that abundantly. That's the process I wanted to take going forward when I launched something. I wanted, anytime there was a question, whether it was good or bad, if I don't have an answer with it, please don't give me your money. Don't support me and don't buy what I'm building. If I can't answer your question, then why would you ever trust me with your money? And why would you ever try to, buy into my vision or what I'm building? And I think that everyone who is looking at either investment opportunities or ways to join other things, I've told everyone what I'm building. You're not investing in it, you're joining a community. If people ask questions and the person in charge does not answer them, steer clear. It's
Mhm.
me. Or if they tell you a bunch of things and then have absolutely nothing to back it up with or any proof, and that's where the blockchain comes in. What wallet have you used? Share your wallet. If someone wants to see, oh well, how do I know your poker company pays out? Well, you can go check our Etherscan and you can go see that we've made at least 0.2 ETH in payments every
Yeah.
week for the last, you know, year and a half. You can
Yeah.
go look at our Polygon scan and see that we've made every USDC withdrawal whenever someone requests it. And, that's when you can put it on, someone else to do their due diligence. But I think just from a general perspective, if like every time someone has asked me about what I'm building, I'm so happy and excited to answer every single question. You guys offered me this podcast opportunity. I'm super happy to be here talking about it.
Yeah.
If someone isn't doing that, then they're hiding something. There's no reason to not. Anybody who's genuinely in this for the technology or what they're building is excited to share and willing to share and wanting to share. Anybody in the space. You can talk to anybody in any project anywhere. If they're genuinely in this space and they're trying to build something, they'll be happy to talk to you. They want to talk because they love what they see. They know that the future is being built here and they know what the technology is capable of.
Yeah.
So yeah, if someone's writing you off or someone is, anything, if you get that bad feeling, that gut feeling where it's like, oh, well, that wasn't very nice, or like that, it's not a good sign. You should have
Yeah.
someone who cares.
Yeah, I think that I actually tell my team that all the time, right? That decentralized applications, and I kind of count blockchains as just like the first decentralized application, right? Because to me, a blockchain is a network application and it's decentralized, so therefore it is. But these things have to be open source, right? And open source is not only about just making the code open, right? Like if you compile code and give that binary to somebody, that's also code of a sort. The machine can interpret it, and if you're a reverse engineer or hacker, or you run like a reverse compilation process, you can kind of still understand what the code does. Ultimately, the real thing about open source is to make it as comprehensible as possible to the people who can audit it, edit it, change it, etc. So we try to do that from end to end, right? It's not only about the code being open source and the code being well documented and the code being well organized, but it's also about the vision of the product being well organized and the design as well, right? Like a lot of thing that really frustrates me with white papers is that there's a lot of superfluous techno mumbo jumbo sort of stuff that
Yeah.
goes on there, right? And they don't really get to the point of like explaining to me exactly what the incentives are for everybody, like how people get paid.
That's
That's the thing. I almost want to like shout, like, show me the money, because it's like, who gets paid? What do they get paid for? How do they get paid? When you're talking about decentralized applications, it's all about the game theory. It's all about the economics, and like that's the thing, right? So
Incentives
that question
is another way
earlier,
to put it, right?
yeah, exactly. Incentives. What are the incentives?
Yeah.
Don't tell me about like, oh, your database, theory or whatever, the stuff that's like relevant in 1995. And that's why I liked your question earlier, David, where you're kind of like basically just said, isn't this a Ponzi scheme, essentially? And it's nice to see that you were able to answer that pretty clearly and honestly, I think, Sam.
Yeah. answer my own question where I was kind of asking about like what to look out for, I think the biggest thing to me is to be very, very wary of big promises. Like, even though like I'm super skeptical and very technical enough to like, look at things and judge them based on their merits a lot, I still get caught up in the promises sometimes, things that I think back on where they kind
Oh, we lost him again. Are you there, Sam?
I'm here. Yeah, I think he's lagging out.
Well, it's funny that you said that because lithium has like an insane proposition. We're actually going around, and we haven't really launched it yet, but we're
scammy,
basically,
but like
oh,
there've
he's
been a
back.
couple where I was just like, this is exactly what we need. Oh wow, like how are they going to accomplish this? This is going to be so great. And so I appreciated the Decentra Degens kind of like low promise threshold, where it's just like, yeah, okay, like we know that they can at least meet this this free roll promise for a few years or whatever, and then if they don't after that, like, well, at least we knew it could be coming because he keeps everything out in the open. This is how much we have coming in, this is how much we have going out, and all that kind of stuff. So
Well, the 0.2 ETH might be
it wasn't too good to be true, I guess, is kind of a way to sum it up.
right. Well, we lost you halfway through there in the middle.
Oh no.
But I think we got the gist of it, so it's all right. And I also was saying it's kind of funny because lithium is making pretty ridiculously huge claims. So I wonder what you think about that, but maybe we could talk about that another time.
There's nothing wrong with the claims. You just need to have a path that explains why they're feasible. And someone saying, "All right, well, we're going to launch this NFT project, and it's going to raise 10 million." Wait, how? How is it going to raise 10 million? Well, where's the steps? Oh, we're going to build a game. Do you know what it takes to build a game? Or we're going to do. Like, I know that it's going to take a while to build our poker platform. I've unfortunately been telling people for the last year we've been building it. Fortunately, we're getting super close, and it's going well. Unfortunately, our developer has a full-time job. We can't pay him a full-time salary, so it's taken longer. But there's just because things might not go as quick as possible, or these giant delusions of grandeur might not be feasible at the moment. If you've got a clear path and a structure to make it happen, that's the easiest part, is laying out a plan. And what's even easier is just following the plan and being honest about it. I will say this every single time. Running a business is easy. Growing this is easy. Being honest is easy. Waiting and being patient is the hardest part. Everything else is not difficult. It's just about consistency and planning. The hardest part is waiting. I've been praying for patience because I need to be patient in this time. I know things are going to happen. But in reality, if there was just, oh, well, this is just going to happen. Okay, well, that right there is the issue. Just if someone has a well laid out plan, any question that gets asked should be answered.
Yeah.
So there's the indicator for passing any test on whether or not it's a scam. Can they answer your question, and do you believe the answer?
Yeah. Yeah, as people in the crypto world, we've seen like these moons, these moonshots, these we call it exponential growths and whatever. And so we can get fooled and we can believe that like, oh, this new thing is gonna have that without putting in all the hard work, but like we can forget that Bitcoin was like just limping along, like doing nothing, paying 10,000 Bitcoin for a pizza or whatever, a couple of years after it was released, no like VC behind it, nothing like that. And nothing comes for free, like even though Bitcoin is backed by nothing, all this kind of stuff. Well, it's a lot of time, effort, thought, a lot of people believing in it, a lot of people caring about it, that has given it its value. And you can't just like replicate that without any of the sacrifice that has gone into it necessarily.
Absolutely. I mean, it's Bitcoin. There's a million chains that are faster. They're more efficient. They do things quicker, but it's not Bitcoin. It's it is what it is. You can't replicate it because it is there. You can't start Bitcoin because it would be started today. Bitcoin started long before today, which means you can't replicate that time. And honestly, in terms of Bitcoin and in terms of businesses being built, I think that's probably the biggest point of trying to build something on chain right now. Like I can say, hey, you can check my wallet all the way back to 2021. You can check the DD wallet back to the start of 2022. There's no company like you could have a new poker company launched by Amazon with millions of dollars in funding. They don't have a 90-week paper trail of every single payment being completed on a free roll. They don't have that. No one
Yeah.
can replicate it. Other people can do everything possible, but they can't replicate that authentic ledger of history. And I think that's where people who start building real things and have that, it's going to come into play huge.
Yeah. And even lithium, I mean, like, you're not trying to like bring it to life fully formed, like who was it, Athena from Zeus's head or whatever. Like, you're doing the hard work, Clay, to like try and build a technology that can sustain something. You're not just like out there selling a bunch of hype.
Yeah, well, we'll see how much of that is behind us as an industry. I mean, I think because of the the value of the hype and like 10x is like considered like a failure in crypto, right? It's like, why didn't you do 100x? I think for a lot of people, the IDO and the token and
That's
the
100x return on investment. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah.
I think like the token and the IDO becomes the product itself, right? And people forget that, like, well, they have to do something, right? You need to provide some real user value, right? And we'll see how much of that is still creeping around. I mean, as far as financial products are concerned, that is sort of the way that they work, right? I mean, a bond doesn't really do anything for you except give you more dollars in the future, and it is considered a product, right? So, I guess when you're talking about DeFi, that kind of does make sense in a way, but I think there's been a little bit too much focus on that, and maybe that's also related to the scale issue, just because there isn't a lot of room to do other things like poker and gaming and stuff. Or at least there hasn't been. Maybe that's debatable these days, but hopefully we'll see more lessons learned from that, and more sort of focus on the user experience and the value proposition going forward.
All right. Well, I'm going to bring us towards the wrap up here. Sam, why don't you tell people where is the best place to go if they're interested in Decentra Degens?
So we've got our website. It is decentradegens.eth.limo. We built our website on the blockchain, which is pretty cool.
.eth.limo, Limo.
Yep.
Like a car, big car.
Yep.
Okay.
And
What is
we're
that?
on Twitter. We're on Twitter at Decentra Degens, and we're the main hub of everything we do. It is in Discord. We have the Discord linked in both the website and our Twitter. That's where I talk with everyone directly. I communicate with everybody. As you know, you've been with us for quite some time now. I'm accessible pretty much all the time. I'm happy to talk with anyone. I hop on one-on-one calls with a ton of the holders. Yeah,
there's a fair amount of chatter in your Discord.
So ETH.limo is an ENS gateway, which is pretty awesome. That is very cool, Sam, that you did that. I was unaware of that. So today I learned. And that makes me want to launch into another rant about who pays for that and and that sort of incentives thing. But very cool that you've got your ENS set up.
decentradegens.eth. You can track our wallet as well.
All right.
Nice.
All right. Well, thanks for coming, man. It's been really fun talking to you, actually. And yeah, let's do it again sometime, and keep us posted on any sort of new things that you've got going on.
Yeah.
I'd be really curious to follow along.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys having me.
Clay, any closing thoughts about the role of crypto and gambling and payments and all that kind of stuff?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, I just want to, look forward to see what Sam's doing. And if I have any sort of thoughts for, obviously I'd love for him to integrate with lithium, but we're a long way away from that. And that's another conversation, but we'll get there one day. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess my takeaway is like, I really would love it if people focused more on those who are builders and not hype men, and that's one of the things I appreciate about Sam is he's building this up, and he's not just like making outrageous promises in the hopes that to trap people with their own greed. All right, I think we're going to close out episode number 2 of Proof of Pod. Please like us, subscribe to us, anything that you can do to help us grow. We hope you've enjoyed this and found it entertaining, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks. Have a good night.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Sam.